So this has been notified quite a few times over the coming months. We didn't report on it because I had no idea. I just think it was that important. But
We weren't
now
exactly sure how it would work out, really.
I think we did report on it. I think we reported on an art book as well. But there was a fine art gallery of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm looking at a review from the Sonic Stadium from the Castle Fine Art Sonic Gallery.
Hmm.
To to you, there was one in York, which was my birth home, and I'm kind of pissed off.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, this is the thing because it said like this is a chain of like art galleries they have around the UK. In fact, it's not just yours, there's Manchester, blah blah blah. But the fact is, when I went into York just today, as we're recording this, I actually went in and they did have some of these displayed on for people to see.
And all I can say is, some of them look pretty good. Other ones, like the melting Sonic face, like what the flying fuck? It's like that's impressive, but that's not an art piece to me. And to the, and I know like we got this is, and I know some people are gonna be like, some of you will be, oh, that person put a lot of effort into this and everything's like, yeah, but art is entirely subjective.
Yeah.
I can look at something and feel an emotion or have thoughts run through my head,
Hmm.
and you'll have something completely different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of these pieces I'm looking at, like a metal piece of Sonic, some emeralds, 2016, 25. That looks pretty good.
Hmm.
And from what I see, there's
So I'm just going to check. I'm just going to go through. So, for instance, I've got the book. Like I said, I've actually got a booklet of this. So, for instance, the melty type pictures you're talking about, that was done by a guy called Robert Oxley. And again, this actually gives you like his inspiration and his background and what he's done before. So again, it's actually like a proper artist book. And I actually got to see this up close because I remember seeing it online and I thought like it looked interesting, but I wasn't sure exactly how it looked. And then when you see it up close and personal, you can see like the paint like dripping, like all the blob ends of each it's like bits falling from the face. Although I will say that the Amy one, I mean the Sonic one does look kind of like they do look like he's melting. Although the Amy one is near enough, if that wasn't pink, that would look a bit more vicious.
yeah, it's just well, the 81 looks like a representation of her character.
So perfect matches her.
Yeah, but that just looks pointless. I mean, I watched Sarah introduced me to a show called World of Art, the next great artist.
Hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, take this and make an art piece out of it. And it's like, okay, some guy actually just took made a bed, slept on it, and it was surrounded by technology and giant concrete assholes. And I am not kidding on that one. And he won. It's like, how the fuck was that art?
We'll put it this way: was it David Hockney who split a cow in half and just put two ends on each side of the room and said, "There you go, that's art." So
There's a piece of art that called shock art, and basically it's a photograph of a crucifix with Jesus on it in a jar of urine.
there's a ooh.
That was art, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
The,
I was looking at all these others, like you got a
to be fair though, that sounds like more like a sketch Family Guy would do.
I think Simpsons already did it with Homer just enraged at a barbecue, and that's sold as a rage project. There's a pixelated Sonic, which gets looking at it looks like it's completely painted pixel by pixel, which that looks good.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah,
But
it's like individual pixels been painted in. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of these fine arts. Like they could have some of them look pretty good, but some of them look very very generic to me.
All right.
So it's like oh, there's like an overlay vector style. There's a picture of Sonic running, and it's like a lightning bolt behind him with Eggman and a bunch of badniks.
Yeah.
It's like that. How much was that one? It's like a red lightning wedge behind Sonic.
Oh yeah, yeah. Give me a second. So all right. So this one's called One Step Ahead. It's like a triangle with Sonic sort of jumping out and pretty much Eggman and all his badniks. This one, apparently, this goes for 6,950 quid, and this is the original oil on box canvas.
Bull fucking shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, Sonic's model is way fucking off. The actual the colors is too washed out. And as far as the Badniks and Eggman in the background, you could barely make any of them out.
Yeah. I just like to
Am I
point
being a bit harsh? Of course I am.
Yeah, I'm just like, I like to point out here is that, I'm much more a much more calmer person when it comes to this type of stuff, so it doesn't bother me, rile me up that much. But we are talking to a guy who does Sonic drawings for quite a lot and has been doing it for a good few years. So here you
Yeah,
go.
and then there's a bunch of neon sign, the Chaos Emeralds in neon.
Mm.
Tell me that is not going any more than £100.
No, it's more than that.
Oh, for
Apparently,
fuck's sake.
yeah, apparently this one, the Chaos Emeralds, is going for 9,950 quid.
That
And
is not worth 9,950 fucking pounds.
yeah, well, it depends really what they made it out of, unless they're using materials that are not that easy to use.
It's a black piece of plastic or some kind of heat resistant stuff like lino or whatever, and it's a bunch of neon light piping shaped as a Chaos Emerald.
Well, it does say here it's an original neon artwork on 9mm, so this must have been like very
Okay.
specialized stuff.
Maybe a few £100, less than 1,000 at least to make it, and you're expecting nine times the profit value.
Yeah, I mean the other thing, again, like you said, this is for a fine art collection thing. So obviously when they go
None
to
of these are fine arts.
That's it. Yeah, but think about it. These have been sold at these type of galleries. These are like the proper. You go in and you get you get either really big pictures of magnificent views, or you get very minimalistic pieces of artwork. So they are going to jack the price up quite a bit.
Yeah,
So.
pretty much. But one little thing, like, I appreciate what an artist go through, because someone can look at my artwork and go, "That's a piece of shit. You should do better." Fair enough. I will do better. But a few of these artworks, actually, all of these artworks, they're fan art. They're not fine art. They're fan art. If you can define fine art as something that you take a brush or a pencil to a canvas or a piece of paper, fair enough. The drifting art pieces, fair enough, that's fine art. I don't agree with it, but that's fine art. There's a sketch of the thumbs up Sonic from All Stars Racing, and that is fine art. That's using pencil or charcoal to an advantage.
Yeah,
Even I'm pretty sure they fucking cheated, because the mouthpiece is way too fucking clean.
Yeah. I would say that some of the images that are in this Fed, I mean, some of them are like kind of what you've seen from like stock advertisements of Sonic in the past, so they're not entirely original like composures. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but they would have taken a lot just to try and recreate them in different materials.
The thing is, though, I can look at some of these pieces and go, you know what, I can do this I can replicate that very easily. I just get that feeling. Like,
I know, but then you think to yourself, it's like, well, how long would it have taken them to make this stuff? This wouldn't have been just like they did it in a week. They would have taken like, months or years over the time to build them, resources and all that stuff. So,
it takes me at least 12 hours to do a Sonic Adventure style piece. So that's digital artwork. It's hand drawn, especially with me being left-handed.
Yeah.
One of these pieces could take me less than a week. I'm not going to do the challenge. It's just that's how I feel about it. I just don't feel these should be considered as fine arts. Also, at the same time, should not be costing nearly 10 grand.
Yeah, but like I said, this is part of a, let's be fair, this is, again, I've got the little booklet here, and it's got a big embossed 25th anniversary logo, so this is clearly part of the anniversary type deal.
It's like, it's a few little miniature models, and like, they, like, how much you say, like, less than 8 grand, 2 grand a piece?
Yeah, they're not that much of it. Yeah, they're just about 1,000 or so.
Yeah, fuck off, no. The only two I would actually consider having on my wall is a few of the metal artwork pieces and the 3D Sonic title ring from Sonic 1.
I was going to say, because the ones that are like made of like what look like scrap metal, I mean, first of all, they would have been like either using different pieces of metal and like rust or whatever, and to try and make it look like, either like the pixelization of the original games or like the adventure look of that we have today, that would take a lot of, like bashing, soldering, cracking bits out and smoothing edges off. So that would take a lot to do. That's more like, in many ways, that's like an engineering job.
Yeah, but the grey, what looks like I guess a clay piece of the Sonic 1 title screen, with very detailed wings, and the background looks industrial. Mega Drive controller, and at the bottom it has MCMXC1, which is 1991. I would buy that if I was a rich pompous who loves Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, it's called Forever a Legend, and there's quite a lot they shoved in here. In fact, they've even got like a Mega Drive controller shoved in the back of it.
Yeah, that is probably the best art piece in the entire fucking gallery. But how much is it?
Hang on. So yeah, this one, for what it is, it's framed Perspex Soldier, is 8,950 quid.
If I was a rich, pompous git who was a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog as I
If you were
am
in the
now,
stock market, and you,
I would buy this one because this is probably the best piece of artwork, not a fine art, artwork in general in the entire gallery from what I've seen.
what we've seen, yeah.
That is
Um,
probably the only one I would recommend buying. Other than
mhm.
that, the rest of them is just bits of scrap, little models that look just kind of shit, dripping art pieces, vectorized neon stuff, and a bunch of fan art.
Yeah, well, put it this way, Dad. You remember how probably like the Steven Universe thing you got really riled up about. I'm going to be surprised how people are going to be riled up when we get this thing out.
They'll complain to me about being a dickhead at saying about how I don't understand art.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand art. I studied art.
Here we are.
And again, it is subjective. If I don't see the same thing you see, I'm not in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's the same way of an opinion of a video game or movie. If I look at this Sonic art, it's like, okay, the Sonic looks painted very well, but around it it's just Jackson Pollock.
Yeah.
And it's basically that's basically just the colours that have been used on the character, other than green. I can't see any green splats on this, but that's fan art. It doesn't matter if you use a canvas and use actual acrylic or oil paint. It's fan art.
Hmm. I just want to.
As far as fine art, just because you use a canvas doesn't make it fine art. Just because you put it into a gallery and you're selling it from up to 10 grand doesn't make it fine art. It is a piece of fan art.
Yeah, well, like I said before, I mean, ironically, all these people have like background in artwork and stuff before, so there's that aspect. But also, it's worth mentioning. I think really, here's the thing though, is like we talked before, like the fact there's going to be an art book of Sonic the Hedgehog next year, and we expected like a lot of it will be from the official archives of Sega and Sonic Team.
Please
And
don't let any of them be this in there.
well,
Please.
yeah, but no, but here's the thing I really want to point out is that think about this, like as you said, in many ways you consider this very high end sort of, well, you consider this really fan art, but really sort of in the high end area. If you think about it, the fact that they're allowing this type of work to be in art galleries like this, in many ways, that opens the door that other talented people can get their stuff in there. I mean, think about this, we're starting at this point, because I don't think there's ever really been something, I think there have been things like this before, but I can't really think of any game series that's actually had a full collection like this. And maybe Metal Gear or Zelda or Mario at some point.
I think Zelda may have had one.
Yeah.
And maybe Final Fantasy. I need to look that up.
Yeah.
But if I could,
I'm just saying, but put it this way,
this is probably the only thing people say. Oh, if you think you're so good, why don't you do it? It's like I could.
Yeah.
I really could.
Yeah, but like I said before, it's like the fact that if they can get this type of thing in art galleries, and the fact they can be treated in the same way, and they can be viewed in the same way that high-end art is, many people will just say, well, I don't see the point of this. It's just like, a dot in the middle of a blank canvas or something like that. If you can get that in, particularly if they can get this stuff in, which a lot of them is a mixture of very good, interesting, and okay, so again, we have different points of views. But if they can get this type of work in, who's to say that not in the immediate years afterwards, like one day your stuff particularly is going to end up in a place like this?
Probably, but I guarantee it'll just be someone else actually taking my work and say, I did this.
Well, that's plagiarism. That's a different story.
My work's been plagiarized.
I know. Again, that's a whole different story. Yeah. But like I said, in many ways, I do think this is, for me, it's kind of an interesting thing that this has happened. And while some of it is, I would see some of this as like, I wouldn't consider it that high price. But still, I'm interested in the fact that they've gone through this. And, if they're allowing this stuff to happen, I think, who knows, there's a wide open door for other people like you, me, or any other average Joe out there.
Or the kid who invented Sonic.
Well, I think that would be the deadline. I think that'd be the point of saying, okay, we know this is a fucking joke.
I would be surprised when making a realistic texturing of Sonic and put it into a gallery.
Yeah, trust me. At that point, that could be a fully. I would love to be in an auction for that. Saying, I now call upon the Sonic hitting, now coloured with realistic textures and unvented models. I am going for 50 quid. Who wants it? No.
I'll give you £1.50 and half a Mars bar for it.
Yeah, exactly. Melted Mars. You can have a melted Mars bar for all it's worth.